Good morning and welcome to the August 10th, 2023 meeting of the Code Enforcement Board. Meeting will now come to order. May we have a roll call, Madam Secretary?
Yes, ma'am. Mr. Thomas Megan,
Here.
Ms. Carrie Marsh,
Here.
Ms. Karen Roby, Mr. Neil Hamilton,
Here.
Ms. Turner Himes, and Ms. Ouija Kindig.
Here? We have a quorum.
Thank you.
Motion to excuse Ms. Roby and Ms. Himes? Is there?
Second.
Yes.
Okay, Mr. Harrington made the motion, a second, Ms. Marshall, in favor say aye.
Aye.
Like sign opposed, motion carries. Has everybody had a chance to read minutes? Any additions or corrections?
Just a small one.
Okay.
My first name is spelled wrong.
The what?
My first name is spelled
Oh.
correctly.
Okay. Didn't that happen before? Yeah, okay, go ahead. Where?
It's Karri.
Oh, yeah, up top there, yeah. Okay,
Thank you. It's corrected.
that's just a small correction. Do we need to amend anything for a typo? Fine, okay. Motion to approve the minutes.
So moved.
Mr. Harrington, second.
Second.
Ms. Marshall, in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Like sign opposed. Does anyone need to disclose any ex parte communications? Do we have announcements, Madam Secretary?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay.
Page 5.
Page 5, you said?
Yes, ma'am. Page
Okay.
5.
Okay.
Case 7, CEB 0723 100. 1005 Essex Road is in compliance as of 8/9/23. Page 6, Case 12, CEB 022337 552 Tarragona Way is in compliance as of 8/9/23. Page 7, case number 16, CEB 0823 109 322 North Keach Street via Zoom. Those are my announcements.
Okay, thank you very much.
You're very welcome.
All right, would the code officers please stand up and be sworn in?
Do you solemnly swear to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
Okay, everybody, here's our procedure. We'll be calling cases by number and for the most part in orders that are listed on the agenda. If there are any attorneys present and they need to be in court, we'll hear those cases first. If there are police officers who must get back to duty, we'll hear those cases. Okay. When your case is called, please come forward and be sworn in. State your name and your address for the record. If you're not the owner of the property, please state your relationship to the owner of the property. Our proceedings are recorded, so speak directly into the mics. The board will hear from code officers first, and then you'll get a chance to speak and direct all your responses to us on the board. And sometimes we have witnesses, they follow the same procedures. Okay, I don't think that we're going to need a break, but we'll take a break at 11 if we need one. Okay. We're going to start with our lien reviews. Lien review 1. The respondent present? CEB 07-15-31, 945 Redwood Street. Good morning.
Good morning. Name Philip Sweeting, owner of 945 Redwood Street. Yeah.
What is your address?
945 Redwood Street.
Okay, you live there.
Yeah.
Okay.
Sir, will you raise your right hand? Do you solemnly swear or affirm that the testimony you're about to provide is the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
Yes.
Thank you.
Hey, what would you like to tell us? You get to speak first in a lien review.
Okay, thank you. I understand that there is existing fees on there. I wish that Mr. Butler advised me that administration fees, I can't get. I wish they was reduced a little bit lower. However, but that is the case.
When did, okay. Well, if that's all you want to say, we'll have the city present its case.
Good morning.
Good morning.
Good morning. Code Compliance Officer Inspector Butler, credentials on the file with the City of Daytona Beach. As it pertains to 945 Redwood, I have Code Compliance Officer John Stinson. We will give you some history on this property and how we came to the conclusion where we are today.
Okay.
John, would you come up and assist me, please? We just want to give you the history.
Yeah, that's good. I need that. I was going to ask about a whole bunch of things too, so maybe the questions will be answered.
Good morning, John Stinson, Code Inspector with the city. Qualifications are on file. This case, way back in 2015, started off as a police complaint. The police had an operation over there, and code enforcement was called out there. There was a lot of property on and around the property that the police took care of. However, the inside was in horrible condition. So whoever was living there, they were doing whatever they were doing, but they weren't taking care of the inside of the property.
Okay.
So it was just deplorable condition. The case ran its course. There was a fine imposed, turned into a lien. Then the property was vacant for a while. And so this is what brings us here today.
Can I say anything?
When was the case closed?
I couldn't give you
code-
the exact date, but it
Well,
probably closed when the fine reaches its maximum amount.
Oh, yeah, that makes sense. Okay,
That was actually December 31st, 2018.
thank you.
And the property came into compliance April 17th, 2023.
Now, we don't have any minutes of the hearing.
No, they weren't available. Sorry, I did search for them. They weren't available.
And why would that be?
The records only went back so far.
That what?
The records only go back so far.
Oh. Okay.
Why? The closeout records on open cases? I don't know what that means, but you want to,
I don't know, sir.
well, it makes this very difficult for us to, then you have some pictures that I don't know what the point of them are in this folder. I don't know about the pictures you have there, but you've got 3 pages of pictures and everything's blacked out.
All right, okay, so the code case got closed in 2018. When did you buy the property, sir?
That's around the same time I purchased that property.
9/17, right?
Yes, from Ms. Lillian Day.
When did
Permits.
you move in?
I was, the place was set up for, it started off with an investment home. And then that didn't pan out, so I moved in later on, however, but what I want to say is that the contractor pulled permits. I paid him a lot of money to go through and remodel the place and do what necessary. And I was under the impression that everything was taken care of. And then I was, I wanted to get some money out of this property. Lo and behold, there's a lien on it. And then this is where I'm at, trying to get this stuff taken care of. But I'm technically not responsible for that amount of money that was carried on, bills.
When
fees.
you did the closing, your agent would have known, or the closing agent would have known there was a lien on the property.
Yes, ma'am.
They would have known that.
Yes.
That
That's where the
by law,
contractor
that
came
has
in.
to be disclosed.
Yes, the contractor came in and he pulled permits, came with the city, pulled permits, and it was all supposed to be taken care of.
What was
Todd.
supposed to be taken care of?
Everything, remodel. He pulled, I'm certain they have indication of these permits that was pulled with the city. Todd Bissell went with the city, pulled permits, and under my understanding, everything was taken care of as far as permits and everything. And there was a letter, I guess, from the city that showed that the permits were pulled.
Pulling a permit and finaling a permit are two different things. So I don't know whether it was finalized or not. And basically, you are responsible for that. Your contractor, what happened between you and your contractor is between you and your contractor.
Okay.
That's the issue with that. Is this property homesteaded?
No.
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 Okay.
Originally.
What would you, yeah, let's hear
If
some
you
more
don't
about
mind me just adding, when John went through the history, there was a major squatter problem there for several years. People was just living there. That was the main
That's
big
when
issue.
no one, that's when Miss Day, Lillian Day owned the property, there were squatters there?
Yes, ma'am. For a few years, there were squatters there. And there was a lot of police activity there at that property. So when the property was purchased, that's when he went and rehabbed the place and brought it back up to
Okay.
compliance. And as I stated, 417, it came into compliance. What we want to ask for is administrative fees with this particular lien case. What's that amount? And that amount is the sum of $2,500.
Okay. Let me, I have a question for the attorney. Could you explain to me what an unqualified sale is in a fee simple? Or a fee simple is? What does that mean when I look on the?
No conditions on it.
No, okay. Which one? Unqualified means no mortgage, no nothing, no. Okay.
No liens.
Yeah, for me to answer that, I'm speculating, so I won't be able to answer the unqualified. I feel I know what it means, but the accuracy of my statement, I'm not able to.
Okay.
Usually, good.
But I can tell you that as far as fee simple just means that everything was conveyed. So, I mean, he owns it.
Right,
He
okay.
purchased it in full.
Okay.
That it has, it's
And
not split with any other
Okay.
ownership.
Sometimes unqualified. It might be a mortgage foreclosure,
Okay,
which brings the price down.
okay,
We don't count it.
okay. All right, so the city is asking for administration fees, what,
2,500.
of $2,500. So we reduce the fine to $2,500. Does anybody want to say anything about that?
I think it's too high.
I'll make a
It's
motion.
been a long time, but go ahead.
Been a long time, but when you lose records,
Yeah, okay, go ahead, make a motion then.
but somebody, I'm not making a motion to approve at all. I just said-
You're making a motion.
You asked for an opinion, I said.
Okay, all right, well, would someone like to make a motion?
I'll make a motion to accept the 2,500 administration fees.
Okay, a motion has been made to reduce the amount of lien to $2,500. Is there a second?
I'll second it.
A second. Now, because there are only four of us, all four of us have to vote in one way or the other.
The other.
Okay.
Has to be unanimous.
Has to be
Unanimous.
unanimous. Okay. So we have a motion and a second. All in favor say aye.
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 No.
Like sign opposed. Okay, that's not working with someone else, so that motion fails. Someone else like to make a motion?
Can I be heard? Can I speak to the?
Yes.
I understand the concern about the minutes, and I don't know why minutes are missing. I don't know the answer. And I'm not quite sure that the answer you got is the answer. I'm not sure. But in any sense, this gentleman was the owner. He owned the property from 2017. It was his responsibility. Yes, he did have a contractor, but even at that point, based on his own representation, that was more as an investment property, which made it even a higher burden to ensure that everything that was required was done. And so we don't believe it's unreasonable to have him have some aspect of responsibility. And from our perspective, because of the time and the effects on the community from the property, even though he purchased it in that circumstance, hopefully, as an investor, he got this benefit of the bargain because of its condition and its fines. But in any sense, he purchased it in that circumstance, and so now someone's responsible to at least cover some reasonable cost. We believe that the $2,500 is reasonable, and that's why we're making that request. I don't know if that would.
Okay. I need someone else to, that the motion failed.
And if my final
To
statement is,
reduce-
I would ask if you'll reconsider it.
Should we reconsider? Would someone else like to make another motion?
Ms. Harrington has made the motion.
Mr. Harrington? You want to make
So
a
he was
motion?
prevailing side.
Do you want to make a motion?
I thought it was the approved site that got to make the re-motion.
Motion. You prevailed. Anybody make a motion?
Anyone can make a motion. Okay. Including me if I pass the gavel, correct?
Right.
I'll consent, but I don't, I have a bad taste for this whole thing. And I want to state that on the record. You have stuff in here, pictures that are totally blank. You don't present that to people as evidence. And you don't say we don't have the minutes. So I understand the man was responsible, we're going to hold him responsible, but there is a responsibility of the city to have accurate records too, since we're talking about responsibility. So I will consent, so that we can move
All right.
on.
Okay, we're going to reconsider the motion to reduce the amount of the lien to $2,500. All in favor say aye.
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 Like sign opposed. Motion carries. To reduce to $2,500. All right.
Is that it?
You're welcome, sir.
Thank you.
All right, let's go to lien review number 2. CEB 11-22-255. 456 Pleasant. Is the respondent present? Okay. Good morning. Okay, we'll wait. There's no respondent. Can't imagine.
Notified of the meeting?
Was the respondent was notified, correct?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay.
Yes, he was.
Yes, Madam Chair. And again, I ought to say Anthony Jackson, attorney for the city of Daytona Beach. The preference of the staff is that we just withdraw it and see if the respondent would want to refile or come back at the next meeting, since he's already completed, the requester has already completed all the paperwork. Another option, of course, you have is to deny it in full, and they can just have to reapply.
Well, one of my concerns is, throughout the process, the defendant only showed up once. So this is usual behavior, not unusual behavior. So I don't know whether I'm willing to put it off because he wasn't here for several of the,
Well, we fully yield to, your
Okay.
judgment and considerations on that.
okay. Well, Mr. Alderman, good morning, and tell us what you'd like to tell us.
Good morning, Madam Chair, members of the board. For the record, my name is Steve Alderman, Code Compliance Inspector for the City of Daytona Beach, and my credentials are on file. This lien review was open 7/13/22, put in compliance on March 14th, 2023. At this point, there can be no reduction due to the other outstanding code case that is still in non-compliance, that a different code inspector has is still running, and it's also a lien. So,
And I'll clarify, it's not that there cannot be any reduction, but we're not recommending any reduction because of that circumstance.
So there is another case
correct.
on the same property?
Previous to mine, yes.
And just for clarification, and I'll ask the inspector, are you saying then that there is an open case, or open from the perspective that it's unresolved?
Correct.
Yes.
It's still in non-compliance.
And it has open.
So there's still an open case on this property, so how does it even get here?
Because our consideration on the lien review is regarding the specific property, not whatever is going on. As far as for your consideration, you have a right to consider it in any sense, because the property in question, of the subject property, is remedied. So you have the authority to consider it. However, our recommendation
Okay.
is that you not, that
Okay.
you give them no.
Okay, because this specific case
Yes, is in compliance.
is in compliance. However, there is another case on the same property that is not in compliance.
Is it on the same property?
That is correct.
Okay, I didn't realize that, but yes.
Yeah,
But
okay.
And that's more our historic view.
Mm-hmm.
I don't believe we have an actual rule of prohibition, which we could establish. We don't have one.
Mm-hmm.
But historically, we would consider a case where the case that's being considered, that's referenced, if it's in compliance, we would at least, they have that ability to come forward. Generally, our recommendation would be a denial until they remedy the property in full.
Okay,
So that's our position.
okay. What does the board think?
I don't think we should reduce it.
Okay.
He's got another case and he didn't show up today.
Right, and he didn't show up for other meetings as well. He came to one meeting that I'm aware of. That was it. All right, we want motion?
Motion to accept the city's recommendation for the full fine
Okay,
of $204.
all right, we're going,
Denied relief.
I thought the city's recommendation was not to review.
no,
You want to withdraw it?
No, the election to review it, just what we've done now, is because it's been reviewed, our recommendation is denial. That it be
yeah, to
denied
deny the,
and be denied as
the reduction, right?
Right.
All right, so that was Ms. Marsh's motion. Do we have a second?
Second.
Second, Mr. Harrington. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Like sign opposed. Motion carries. Okay.
Thank you.
All right. Now, we're going to go to our continued cases right now. And at this time, we could decide to impose a fine. We could decide to give more time. There are several ways we can decide. It doesn't, depending on what's being done. So I'm going to call case number 1, CEB 05-22-105, South Wild Olive LLC. Mr. Barrios here? No. Has not been here 2 other times. What's going on, Mr. Yates? Good morning.
All right. So since the last, good morning, Inspector Yates, my credentials are on file. Since the last hearing, we've had no real progress, but we have had contact. The contractor unexpectedly had to leave the country shortly, but he is back now. They have 2 comments that they have to correct on their permit final, and they'll be done. So I would like to amend to the October hearing when their building permit expires. And the remaining issues are that the material around the electrical box was unacceptable, so they have to replace that with the correct metal plate.
Okay. Okay. Let me see if I, what is the October is 10/4? Yeah, okay.
It would be.
And Chair will entertain a motion to amend previous order of noncompliance and allow respondent until 10/4 to come into compliance or be returned to a subsequent meeting for consideration and a fine of up to $1,000 a day. Such a motion?
So moved.
Motion, Ms. Marsh. Second?
I'll second that.
Second, Mr. Mahegan. All in favor say aye.
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 Like sign opposed. Motion carries. Case number 2,
Thank you.
thank you. CEB 04-23-62, Daniel Snyder. Mr. Snyder here.
Good morning.
Good morning.
Mark Jones, with the City of Daytona Beach. Credentials are on file. I've had no contact with the owner, but they do have an active permit. It has had inspections, so I would like to recommend to the October cutoff.
So they do have permits. They were working without, so they're getting these
Yeah, The original
retroactively?
complaint was work without permits.
Right,
They did go and file and receive the permit,
okay.
and they are having inspections, so it's not just
Okay.
pulling a permit and nothing being done.
Okay. So. Any comments from the board? Chair will entertain a motion to amend the previous order of noncompliance and allow respondent until 10/4 to come into compliance and be returned to a subsequent meeting for consideration of a fine of up to $1,000 per day. Such a motion?
So moved.
Motion, Ms. Marsh. Is there a second?
I'll second that.
Second, Mr. Mahegan. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Like sign opposed. Motion carries. Okay, Mr. Jones again. Case number 3, CEB 02-23-26, Irina Jutag. Not here. Has not shown 5 times. Go ahead.
Since last hearing, I've had no contact with the owner or the architect. They did receive Board of Adjustment approval back in June, but there was conditions on that Board of Approval that they had to remove the fence that was not located on their property. They had to cut a 1-foot drainage area on a 63-foot driveway and add gravel, and also remove an unpermitted enclosed deck. As to the site visit on July 27th, the fence has not been removed, the concrete has not been cut out, and the enclosed deck has not been removed. There's been no permit applications applied for. Staff is requesting a fine of $100 a day with a cap of $10,000.
Any comments from the board? Chair will entertain a motion to impose a fine of $100 per day against the respondent effective today and continue until compliance is achieved or reaches the maximum of $10,000. Such a motion?
So
Motion, Mr. Harrington. Is there a second?
I'll second that.
Second, Mr. Mahegan. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Like sign opposed. Motion carries.
Thank you.
Case number 4. Mr. Stenson. Good morning, Mr. Stenson. Again. CB 05-23-72, White's Hotel, Florida, Inc. Respondent present. Good morning, sir.
Good morning, Madam Chair. Edward DeYuga, attorney, Legacy Law Associates. I've been retained by White's Hotel and Sabash and Triptapuri as the owners.
Okay. You don't need to be sworn.
Your name again, sir?
Edward Dimayuga. It's Dimayuga.
Thank you.
Okay, Mr. Stenson, what can you tell us?
Good morning, John Stenson, Code Inspector of the City. Qualifications are on file. Since the last hearing, work has begun on this retaining wall, which is the last and only remaining violation. As you can see by the photos, both of the neighbors are working on this wall and the fencing, so we'd like to amend this case to September hearing.
Okay.
Madam Chair, I'd like to respectfully request more time because my understanding in talking with the contractor is that they need 5 to 6 days without rain in order to build the trench to put in the concrete and the rebar in order to build the retaining wall properly. The previous retaining wall that was on the property was not actually a wall, it was a stack of cinder blocks, if you recall. This photo right here actually was recently taken. This was dirt placed by the neighbor in order to preserve the wall. That was not placed by the property owner, so that needs to be actually removed first in order for the wall to be put in as well. So there's more work that needs to be done here, and so respectfully, just if Mr. Stinson believes that it's appropriate to come back in September, I would be happy to come back in September. But just to help realistically set expectations, I think it's going to be longer.
Okay, the one thing, I mean, good luck with 5 or 6 days without rain, and how do you predict that in Florida?
Understood.
So,
Understood.
you know, the work needs to be done.
We're okay with the
Okay,
October, if
October.
that's what the board elects.
all right, city's all right with that? Any
Yes.
comments from the board? Chair will entertain a motion to amend the previous order of noncompliance and allow respondent until 10/4/2023 to come into compliance and be returned to a subsequent meeting for consideration of a fine of up to $1,000 a day. Is there such a motion?
So moved.
Motion, Mr. Harrington, second.
I'll second that.
Mr. Mahagan, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Like sign opposed. Motion carries.
Madam Chair?
Yeah.
That was 10-4?
Yeah. Isn't it 10/4?
Yes, ma'am.
October,
I'm sorry.
right.
Yes.
10-4.
Okay. All right.
Thank you.
See, hopefully it'll be done and you
I-
won't have to come back.
I hope so too. Thank you
Okay.
very much.
Thank you.
Appreciate it.
Okay.
Have a wonderful rest of your day.
Thank you. Case number 5, CEB 06-23-78, Georgia Karagianis Trust. Someone here to represent them? All right, Mr. Stenson, what can you tell us?
Yes, since the last hearing, I have been in contact with this property owner. They just had a new roof installed. However, I've only had that one conversation. She says she's still waiting on insurance issues to be resolved.
This wasn't even about, this said dilapidated fencing.
That's correct.
That's all that they have to do, right?
That's correct.
And this is, okay. Do they have a permit for the fence?
There has been no application or issuance of any permits for the fencing. And the city is asking for $100 per day to be capped at $10,000.
You know, if they had applied for, they do need a permit for that fence, is that correct?
Yes, because it's more than just that gate that's
Okay.
dilapidated.
Any comments from the board? Okay,
Madam Chair, because we're at a point of the need to fine on this case, it appears that the style of the case is questionable, and we may need to continue to next month and make sure that we give
what's
adequate
what's with the
notice. We've cited this for
dilapidated fencing?
the style, meaning the people who we cited as owner. We cited owner to be Georgia Carrageenis
Right,
Trust,
right.
and Carrageenis Declaration of Trust of Trustee, which would be an incorrect site.
Oh.
To cite that. The owner would be the owner as it appears on the warranty deed, and an owner should have been let me see. I may be reading it wrong here. Yeah, no, grantee is,
So we have to recite this case, basically.
that's what it's looking like. If we could just continue, then
Yep.
we'll ensure one way or another what we need to do next.
Okay.
The no value in
Right.
proposing a fine that's not gonna have any
Right.
sufficiency.
Okay, so what we're going to do is just a motion to continue this case till next month?
Yeah.
Okay. There's such a motion?
So moved.
Motion, Mr. Harrington, second.
Second.
Second, Ms. Marsh, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Like sign opposed. Okay, so we'll just continue that. Okay. All right. Case number 6, Mr. Butler, CEB 02-23-25, Malik Art, LLC. Got a lot of cases coming up here. Go ahead. Good morning, sir.
Good morning.
State your name and address for the record.
My name is Roger Davis, 6167 Harbortown Court, Orlando, Florida.
You're the owner of the property?
Yes, ma'am. I'm one of them. Yes, ma'am.
One of them, okay. And you have permission to speak for everyone?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay.
I'm sorry, I didn't catch his name. Can you repeat your?
Roger Davis.
Okay.
Will you raise your right hand, sir? Do you solemnly swear or affirm that the testimony about to provide is the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
Yes, ma'am.
Thank you.
Okay, we're going to hear from Mr. Butler.
Good morning. As it pertains to 934 West Miller Court, since May court proceedings, I've had contact with the property owner, whom has made major progress towards this project. Currently, they're waiting on permits to be finalized. Staff requests them into the next cutoff.
I'd say that's major progress.
Major.
Thank you.
Major.
What? Okay, good.
Let's go back to the pictures prior to that once again so the board can
Right.
get a good visual.
Right, no. This case is, yeah. Okay, any questions?
Yeah, you were going to give me particular progress, like what has actually been done?
Once again, if you look at the pictures,
I'm looking at the pictures.
okay, the windows has been put in, the front has been painted, the inside, which we didn't cite for, but that's all framed out. All the permits has been pulled for the plumbing, electrical, for the total rehab. The only thing that we're waiting on now, as I stated, is for it to be finalized. This property was like this over the last 7 or 8 years. We have an investor that comes into our city, and he had to jump through some hoops and hurdles, in which I presented to this board throughout the court proceedings. And I feel as though that progress has been tremendously made, and as you see the end result, that's going to set the standard for all those condos in that area.
I'm glad to see, I'm really happy to see all that progress. Was this a complaint-driven or case?
No, ma'am, it was field generated.
Field generated, okay. All right. So Chair will entertain a motion to amend the previous order of noncompliance and allow respondent until 9/6 to come into compliance and be returned to a subsequent meeting for consideration of a fine of up to $1,000 per day. Such a motion?
So moved.
Motion, Ms. Marsh, second.
I'll second it.
Second, Ms. Hagan. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Like sign opposed. Motion carries. Good, thank you.
Thank you.
Case number 7 is in compliance. That's CEB 0723-100. Case number 8, CEB 07-23-101, Elizabeth Velma Lloyd. Respondent present. Okay, Mr. Butler, can you tell us?
Yes, as pertains to 1609 Florida Street, since the last court proceedings, I've had no contact with the property owner and no progress. Staff requests $100 a day to a maximum of $10,000.
Anyone living there?
No, ma'am.
Okay. The only thing she's being cited for is a junk vehicle, correct?
Yes, ma'am.
And that's still there?
They're still there.
Oh, I see it. Okay. And no one's living there, so should it, but is it homesteaded or is it a single family? It's not being rented, so it's not
It's not being rented, no,
15,000,
ma'am.
right? Okay.
Have you ever had any contact with them?
Mm-mm.
Well, there was an heir, cousin, that was helping us out with the property, because this is like the second time that I cited it. But that's the only contact that I've really had.
So she passed away, evidently.
Well, the mother did, and the siblings is a daughter in Texas, but she hadn't come here to take care of this problem. So this is where we are.
Well, I mean, it's simple enough. You could probably call somebody to have the vehicle towed.
Once again, there's a cousin here
Yeah.
that we were dealing with that was
Right.
helping with these situations, but unfortunately,
Okay.
he hadn't taken care of it.
Yeah, okay. Chair will any other comments? Chair will entertain a motion to impose a fine of $100 per day against the respondent effective today and continue until compliance is achieved or reaches a maximum of $10,000. Such a motion?
So moved.
Ms. Marsh made the motion. Second?
I'll second it.
Mr. Meegan, second. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Like sign opposed. Motion carries. Case number 9, we'll move on to CEB 07-23-103, Willie D. Warren. Mr. Warren. This is a continuance, and we're just here for compliance or non-compliance?
Yes, ma'am. Will you state your name, please?
Yes, my name is Willie Devon Warren.
Will you raise your right hand, please? Do you solemnly swear or affirm that the testimony you're about to provide is the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
Yes.
Good morning. Okay, so there were some questions that we needed answered.
Right.
What did we find out, Mr. Jackson?
Yeah, Madam Chair, this came before you last month and was continued because Mr. Warren, was it?
Warren.
I didn't
Yeah.
write it down there. Mr. Warren had raised the issue of the statutory changes concerning home-based businesses under 559.955. And so there are certain criteria that has to be met to be able to fit into what he was asking. It was to look at this property as a home-based business in a residential district. In accordance with the statute, the primary question that we'd have to ask is whether Mr. Warren's circumstance, is he a home-based business that meets the criteria of the statute? The statute requires that the employees of the business work at the resident dwelling must also reside in the resident dwelling. Is that the circumstance?
Yes.
Okay. The parking related to the business activities of the home-based business must comply with local zoning requirements and the need for parking generated by the business, and may not be greater in volume than what would normally be expected at a similar residence where no business is conducted. That's under subsection B of the determination. We believe that he doesn't meet that condition.
Could explain that
I
again?
will provide this to Mr. Sino as far as.
Okay. So what is it you're saying he's not complying with?
There are more criteria, so I want
Okay,
to go through
all
all
right,
the
okay,
criteria.
go ahead.
Because these are the criteria that's required for
Okay,
that
yeah.
definition
Yeah,
of
yeah.
determination.
Okay.
As I said, he has to meet a definition of home-based business pursuant to these criteria.
Right.
One, that the employees of the business who work at the resident dwelling will also reside at the resident dwelling. Okay, because he's saying
Okay,
it's
so he lives
home-based.
there, right,
Yes, this is
and
our
that's
primary.
his employees.
okay.
Except that up to two, and being complete on that would be accepted up to a total of 2 employees or independent contractors who do not reside at the resident dwelling may work at the business. But again, we can't really challenge his position that he is the business employee and he lives there.
Okay.
I don't know if you have any other employees. I'd have to ask that inquiry under oath as well.
No, I am a single member escort.
Okay,
That's the way I file.
and so you have no other employees?
No.
If you had contractors,
Yes,
they have vehicles, would those be considered employee parking for the day, or?
Well, I'll get to that point.
Okay,
But yeah, both
yeah,
employees, that would be employees or independent contractors we're talking about. So do you have independent contractors?
yes, if I have a bigger project that I can't handle myself, I usually 1099 someone, or, if I have to call in extra help.
And those independent contractors, do they reside at the?
No.
Okay. So criteria A is questionable, and we'll see the thoughts of Mr. Sino as well as your counsel. But we'll make our arguments as relate to that. As I said, criteria B, that was criteria A. Criteria B is that the parking related to the business activities of the home-based business comply with the local zoning requirements, and the need for parking that's generated by the business may not be greater in volume than what would normally be expected at a similar residence where no business is conducted.
Now, is that a judgment call?
That's the statute. So we would make argument, you'd have to talk to Mr. Sino on how.
Okay, go ahead. Look at the pictures, okay.
The statute says that the local governments may regulate the use of vehicles or trailers operated or parked at the business or on a street right-of-way, provided that such regulations are not more stringent than those for residents where no business is conducted. In other words, can't be any greater than what we do at any other residence. So in other words, it needs to be like a residence, treated like a residence in terms of what's being allowed or
So,
prohibited.
in other words, if there were, I just want to make sure I understand it, if there were 2 or 3 cars at this property, that would be okay. for a
If it's-
home-based business.
If it's
Because
okay
that
for the
would be-
residents as a whole.
That would be something that the city would consider, or the statute considers normal for, or you wouldn't cite a homeowner or resident or another resident for something like that. Is that what you're saying?
That would be, yes, that would be a fair interpretation
Okay.
of
Okay, I just
from our
wanna understand.
perspective.
Okay.
And of course, he has the right to be heard on that, but that's our
Well,
perspective.
You're gonna get your chance, sir.
Thanks, Sharon. And just so, I was trying to avoid reading it in full, but just so that I don't leave anything to, leaving suggestions, I'll read that further. Vehicles and trailers used in connection with the business must be parked in legal parking spaces that are not located within the right-of-way or over a sidewalk or any unimproved surface at the residence. Local governments may regulate the parking of storage of heavy equipment at the business which is visible from the street or neighboring property. For purposes of this paragraph, the term heavy equipment means commercial, industrial, or agricultural vehicles, equipment, or machinery. Subsection C says, as viewed from the street, the use of the residential property is consistent with the use of the residential areas that surround the property. So external modifications made to a residence dwelling to accommodate a home-based business must conform to the residential character and architectural aesthetics of the neighborhood. The home-based business must not conduct retail transactions at a structure other than the residential dwelling. However, incidental business uses and activities may be conducted at the residential property. I'm sorry, I didn't read that correctly. Let me read that again. The home-based business may not conduct retail transactions at a structure other than the residential dwelling. Okay. However, incidental business uses and activities may be conducted at the residential property. The activities of a home-based business are secondary to the primary use as a residential dwelling. So its primary use to be a home-based business is that the property's use is primarily a residence and secondarily a business operation. The business activities comply with any relevant local or state regulations with respect to signage and equipment or processing that create noise, vibration, heat, smoke, dust, glare, fumes, or noxious odors. Any local regulations on a business with respect to noise, vibration, heat, smoke, dust, glare, fumes, or noxious odors may not be more stringent than those that apply to a residence where no business is conducted. And then lastly, all business activities comply with all relevant local, state, and federal regulations with respect to the use, storage, or disposal of any corrosive, combustible, or other hazards or flammable materials or liquids. Any local regulation on a business with respect to the storage or disposal of any corrosive, combustible, or other hazardous or flammable materials or liquids may not be more stringent than those that apply to residents where no business is conducted. So all of these things can be regulated and restricted. They just can't be more restrictive than they would be on a normal resident, a
okay.
typical residence.
Okay. What type of business is it, sir?
I own a landscape, lawn care, and concrete services.
So there's no manufacturing of any kind,
No.
nothing?
Ma'am, I have one question.
Go ahead.
What's in the Connex box? What materials are in the Connex box?
I have like small engines, for example, like a Viper Screed, a stump grinder that I store there. I have shelving in it, so it's a little junky right now, but it's usually organized. Basically just storage for you know, my hand tools and my small engines.
So basically what you're doing is just, it's
I-
home-based as far,
Go ahead.
far as the office, but all you're doing is parking your vehicles that you use there. You're, outside of that, there's
And
no
keeping his
home.
tools.
Keeping your tools, there's no home.
No, it's no sales or no other, you know, business really conducted out of the home. Basically, like I was explaining last, I had to combine the two lots. I did that for the purpose of storage and stuff, and this is my recent survey of the lots where I had them combined to park them into.
That been filed with the county?
Yes, I'm trying to think of, it's about 2 years old. I think they expire around that time. I'm not sure, but this is my most recent survey of the property.
Well, it's supposed to be filed with the county if you made any changes to the lots.
No, I haven't made any changes, not since the survey. I mean, everything is here that's there.
Yeah,
That survey,
surveys,
been approved by the county.
yeah.
Okay.
I have one more
His,
question, if I could.
go ahead.
Go ahead.
What generated the complaint to you?
Oh.
What brought you to this property?
This was a citizen complaint,
Okay,
driven
neighbor?
case, the entire neighborhood that we went through, and these are the violations that we discovered at this particular
Thank
property.
you.
When you shut those gates, then you're entirely sealed off from the street? Or
Yes.
Okay, the problem is, the parking situation for his equipment does not meet Part B of this statute that says parking related to the business activities of the home-based business complies with local zoning requirements, and the need for parking generated by the business may not be greater in volume than would normally be expected at a similar residence where no business is conducted. And that's clearly more volume.
And I would say that it's the position of the city that this doesn't meet the definition for home-based business where these exceptions would apply that he's asking for. This would require including this modification of the parcel to allow for his commercial business.
What is
This
the
would-
zoning there?
I don't know.
I learned it's MR12 resident, MR12.
residential?
You familiar with that?
No, wait a minute.
Okay, let me see. Yeah, MFR-12.
That's manufacturing, isn't it?
Yeah,
MFR-12 multifamily residence, that's the zone I fall under.
multifamily residential,
Oh, multifamily residential.
which again, is consistent with
It's not
concern.
manufacturing. Okay, I was confused. So a multifamily residential, MFR.
Yeah, and even if it was zoned for what he was storing,
Well,
it would still require the proper developmental site plans and the development requirements for a business, because it's not, doesn't meet the home-based business exception definitions of the statute, which is our position.
I would have to agree with Ms. Marsh that it is in violation, and we can't act as a board of adjustments.
Right.
So I think he's in violation.
Okay, may I ask exactly what violations? I mean,
she just
So-
read it off.
is it any adjustments that I can make to keep most of my material there? Like, I can understand the complaint of the larger tractor that I have, which is called the skid steer, that one there,
Yes,
that's sitting in the middle trailer. I can understand that, and I also have a single axle dump that I park there. It's not on the picture. I usually have it on the outside of the fence, but I do have enough room to park it in. But I've been actively looking for warehouse storage type deals, you know, what they call industrial parks. Everything is basically I had plans to move the larger equipment out, but I mean,
Where
before.
would you move it?
Like I said, I'm actively looking for a warehouse
Okay,
storage place.
because that's
I
big
mean-
equipment.
Yes, yes. I mean, everything's just so expensive and so far out to maintain a business, and I know that's nothing to do, but I actually have, plans to use my backyard for more of residential friendly stuff.
Like what?
Like, I would like to put a shed on there. I love motorcycles. I would like to make a smaller workshop for my motorcycles, that type deal. And I mean, I still have enough room there. I mean, because the other thing that was in question is the vortex, the thing I was telling you I use for storage.
You use what?
The vortex, the trailer that's there, that I use for storage.
Connex, I mean.
Connex, that's what it's called.
Conex Flow, what is that? I don't,
It's
oh, that one over there.
Yeah, the red.
Yeah.
typically shown on the back of
Yeah.
a semi.
That was another reason for me combining the lots, because I went to the city. I wanted to do like a 20 by 20 shed to make a detached shed for a wash house and storage for my motorcycles, basically, more home friendly
Okay,
stuff.
all right, we get the,
Yeah, Madam Chair, so what we're asking is, of course, the stage we are at right now is just a determination of compliance and non-compliance.
Correct.
So we're asking him to be found in non-compliance, and he can search out options.
Right.
I would suggest probably going to planning and zoning and seeing what you can do and
Right.
what the alternatives are, and seeing if there's some way you can work out something that,
And believe me, I tried.
whether
So
it's zoning or I mean, whether it's by variance or it's by a
Right.
relocation, but you have to do that
with
to conform to the rules and regulations of the
zoning.
city. Yes.
So I had to go through zoning. Okay,
that's
so
why I asked about zoning. I mean, All right, so we're really just here today to decide compliance or non-compliance. And it seems that the city has presented a case for non-compliance, in my opinion. Don't know. The chair will entertain a motion to find respondent in non-compliance or respondent come into compliance by the next cutoff date or be returned to the board for consideration or fine of up to $1,000 per day. Such a motion?
So moved.
Ms. Marsh motion, second.
I'll second that.
Second, Mr. Harrington, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Like sign opposed. Motion carries. So we found you in non-compliance, sir, and you have to figure out what to do to come into compliance. We cannot tell you that.
Okay, well, let's see.
They
Okay,
can.
okay.
And you said for next cutoff? That's
Yeah.
what you get? Okay, that's fine. And just stay in contact with the inspector, and then we'll,
Okay.
chances are we'll.
Because,
probably
well,
what time of-
we're not,
change.
we aren't here to provide solutions.
Right.
We're just here to interpret the case that you make and the case the city makes and make a decision,
Okay,
okay?
all right, no
thank
problem.
you.
Thank you.
Okay. Case number 10, CEB 07-23-105, Joseph Jancheski.
Okay, yes.
Respondent present?
Yes.
Okay. Mr. Butler?
Okay, the homeowner had an emergency this morning. He's ill. I know you guys remember the last time we were here. He had the person that was doing the work. But however, as pertains to 1058 Thunderbird Drive, since last month's court proceeding, I've had contact with the property owner, whom has painted the structure, removed all the junk vehicles. However, there's a little more work required, and staff requests amend to the next cutoff.
Okay, any comments from the board? Okay, the chair will entertain a motion to amend the previous order of noncompliance and allow respondent until 10/4/96 to come into compliance or be returned to a subsequent meeting for consideration or fine of up to $1,000 a day. Such a motion?
So moved.
Motion, Ms. Marsh, second.
I'll second.
Ms. Verhagen, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Like sign opposed, motion carries. Okay. Case number 11. Good morning. CEB 04-23-61. Emerita Velasquez and Rosa Hendricks.
He was here before.
And I believe we have an interpreter, correct?
Good morning.
Good morning.
Yes, ma'am.
Want to get the interpreter sworn in?
What, we'll swear you in first, please.
You state your name, please.
Elsa Sebastio.
Okay. Do you solemnly swear or affirm that the interpretation you will give in this hearing will be true interpretation from English to Spanish and Spanish to English, questions asked and answered given? And you will make a true translation into English of any writing which is required by you to decipher or translate to the best of your ability?
I do.
Thank you.
All right, Ms. Kirk, good morning.
Good morning.
Well,
Okay, Sarah Kirk, Inspector with the city. My credentials are on file.
okay.
I'm sorry, were you ready?
No.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Respondent sentence is sworn in.
Okay, let's get set up here. Now, do they need to be sworn in as well, the ladies? Okay, both of you need to be sworn in too, and then we'll,
They're still setting up there.
okay, all right.
Will you state your name?
Digan su nombre, por favor.
Emerita Lisette Velázquez.
Suyo, su nombre.
Su nombre, mami. Su nombre. Diga su nombre.
Rosa Berta Hendrick.
And y'all can, they can pull that down, the mic.
Will you raise your right hand?
Si pueden levantar sus manos derechas.
Mami, levante su mano derecha.
Do you solemnly swear or affirm that the testimony you're about to provide is the truth?
Juran o afirman que el testimonio que están a punto de dar será la verdad.
Lo juramos.
We do.
The whole truth and nothing but the truth?
Toda la verdad y nada más que la verdad.
Lo juro.
We do.
Thank you.
We do.
There's another mic at the end, right,
En el oído.
right here that you can use, so,
I think he has the portable one.
okay, I'm gonna do the portable one. Yeah, then we'll make sure everything gets recorded, okay? All right, now, Ms. Kirk.
Okay, thank you. Okay, since the last hearing, there has been progress. And I have had contact with Ms. Velasquez. All we're waiting on is a permit to be finalized. There was a zoning review that was returned for corrections yesterday. So it is in progress. So we would like to ask to amend to the next cutoff for compliance.
Good, you're almost all finished.
Casi a punto de terminar.
Sí,
So
estamos
we're
a
gonna,
punto de terminar.
so,
Yes, we're almost ready to finish.
that's wonderful. Any comments from the board? All right, the chair will entertain a motion to amend the previous order of noncompliance and allow a respondent until September 6th to come into compliance or be returned to a subsequent meeting for consideration of a fine of up to $1,000 per day until compliance is achieved. Is there such a motion?
So moved.
Motion, Ms. Marsh, second.
I'll second it.
Mr. Mahagan, seconds. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Like sign opposed. Motion carries. Thank you for working on this now.
Thank you so much por la
Okay.
paciencia. Gracias.
Thank you for your patience. Thank you.
Ya, mami. Yo creo que eso ya. Ah, ok.
13.
Muchas gracias.
So case number 12 we have is in compliance. Case number 13, CEB 05-23-67, the Burtons. Anybody here for that case? We had a contractor here before. Okay, Ms. Kirk, what can you tell us?
Okay, since the last hearing, there was some new information. There's actually a new owner was discovered So we would like to add the new, as of May 4th of 2023, there was a new owner, the son.
Since when, what was that date?
May 4th of 2023. The property switched over into the son's name, David Burton. And then
Another Burton? So.
the son, yes.
Okay. Okay.
Okay, so with that, we need to add, I'd like to ask to add him to the case and then amend to the next hearing for compliance. Our next cutoff, excuse me, for compliance.
Is this structure secured?
I believe it is, yes. The contractor that was here last month met me on the property.
Okay.
And I didn't go inside, but I was able to go in the back, and it appears to be secured.
And no one's living there?
No, I mean, not to my knowledge. Like I said,
Right.
it appears secured, and they did clean up all the outside storage
Yeah.
from the other case.
Okay.
So, but it does appear secured at this time.
Okay. So because we're adding somebody to the case, you'd like us to amend to the next cutoff or continue or what?
Yeah, we would like it just to amend to the next cutoff. The respondents who were noticed and a part of the proceeding, I feel would be sufficient on the determination of its noncompliance. I don't know what Mr. Cena feels any different than that. And so the addition of an additional family member, we want to at least have them to be a consideration as really relate to our determination of whether or not they work toward compliance and whether or not we impose fine. So let's give him a month to see if he wants to do something that's part of this attachment, even though we recognize he's been here since March of '04 on record. So if we can just wait another 30 days before if we take action.
All right, as long as the property is secure, I mean, that would be okay with me. Anybody have any, and nobody's living in it? Any comments from the board?
No, ma'am.
Okay. Chair will entertain a motion to amend the previous order of noncompliance and allow respondent until 9/6 to come into compliance. That would be September 6, 2023, or be returned to a subsequent meeting for consideration of fine up to $1,000 per day until compliance is achieved. Such a motion?
So moved.
Motion, Ms. Marsh, second.
I'll second.
Second, Mr. Hagan. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Like sign opposed.
Madam Chair, are you giving an order to also change the name change as well?
In order, well, I mean, is that up to us to do?
We can do it.
Oh, I mean,
Yeah,
okay, so we'll amend,
further order.
we'll further order, thank you. Further order a name, David Burton, to be added to this complaint.
I just want to make sure I spoke correctly. The new owner was May 4th of '23. I may have said March 4th.
No, you said May.
I did say March? Okay, it's May 4th.
Oh.
Okay.
I had May written down.
Oh, okay.
Okay.
I'll vote March.
Okay, we got that squared away. All right. Case number 14, Ms. Kirk again, CB 07-23-98, John A. Nelson at 737 Whitehall. Mr. Nelson here? Okay, didn't come last time either. All right. What can you tell us, Ms. Kirk?
Okay, since the last hearing, there has been no contact, been no progress, and it appears the squatters are back. This was initially a police issue is how I got the case. So staff is recommending a fine of $200 to a max of $15,000.
Well, anybody have comments? I'd like to see it at $250. Get some action going here. Maybe $300. I don't know. It's ridiculous.
We don't oppose any decision of a higher fine from the board, if that's what you elect.
Mm-hmm.
It's based on the gravity of the violation.
Right.
The efforts of the respondent.
Right.
Appear this has been done, and
Right.
history if we have.
Right. What's anybody else think?
It should be 300 a day.
How much?
300 a day.
All right, so, Chair will entertain, well, actually, are you making that a motion?
Yes, I make a motion. that
Okay.
we find them.
Ms. Marsh made a motion to impose a fine of $300 per day against the respondent effective today and continue until compliance is achieved or reaches the maximum of $15,000. Is there a second?
I'll second that.
Second, Mr. Mahagan, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Like sign opposed, motion carries. Okay,
Per Manager Sykes, he said it should be up to 10,000, not 15.
We based it on the last historic use, and then I guess our last known use of it was as a owner-occupied residence. And we don't know of any intentional alternative use of the.
all right, so, what we're going to do is amend the previous motion, and instead of the maximum of 15, the maximum of $10,000. Is that okay with Ms. Martin? Would you
So moved.
amend the motion?
Yes, I amend the
Okay, would
motion.
you amend your second?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Like sign opposed, motion carries. Okay, case number 15, CEB 07-23-99, Lindo Jolly. Last time the contractor was here. This is at 347 South Martin Luther King. Ms. Kirk.
Okay. Since the last hearing, I've had no contact about the property. There's been no progress, no activity on the open permit. It's still under review and is expired. So staff is recommending a fine of $100 a day to a max of $15,000.
Are there squatters in that one too?
Not that I can tell, and it is secured, you know.
It is
from
secured.
street view, it appears secured.
But nothing's been done.
Nothing, no,
No.
nothing permitted certainly hasn't been done.
Right.
Still all unpermitted and,
So anything that's been done has been unpermitted?
right, there is a renovation permit that was applied for
It's-
March of '23. It's still under review. And then there's an electrical permit that expired in October of '21.
Okay. Okay, and what's your recommendation?
100 to a max of 15,000.
How much a day?
100.
Comments from the board?
They put up a fence to block that stuff from the street, if you can
What
see
is all
right
that
there.
stuff?
Just debris.
What's on the roof?
That looks like just tree branches.
That's palm fronds?
Mm-hmm. And
What's all that stuff? Just junk?
junk. And this, how I took this picture was on the police search warrant from the 339 South Martin Luther King directly next door. So I was able to see it on their property. But now from the street, you can't see any of that stuff because they put an unpermitted fence up now since I've opened the case.
Okay, so I'm going to, I think we need more than $100 a day. I don't know what anyone else thinks. This is ridiculous.
I agree with you.
Okay, someone make a motion.
I'll make the motion to go to 200 a day.
Mr. Rehagen's made a motion to go, to impose a fine of $200 per day against the respondent effective today and continue until compliance is achieved or reaches the maximum of, is this 15,000?
The owner, I mean, to my knowledge it is, the owner listed is not listed as this is his address, so.
Up to 15. So we have a motion. Do we have a second?
Second.
Second, Ms. Marsh. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Like sign opposed, motion carries. Okay, now, we're moving on to our new cases, and in our new cases, what we do is just see from the evidence presented and the pictures we look at, whether or not your property is in compliance or not in compliance. We do not fine during this initial period. You get time to correct, and you can have time to speak if you'd like, but fairly simple procedure when we look, unless there's some huge complications that come up, and sometimes there are. So we're going to start with our new cases. Once in a while, with a new case, there's also something called a will fine, but that's very specific, and I don't know that we have to use that today. All right, so we're going to go to a Zoom call, correct? No show? Okay. All right, Ms. Kirk.
Okay.
Did you call it already? I missed.
I'm sorry. All right, case number 16, CEV 08-23-109. Shania Dent was supposed to call in for Zoom and not in the audience. Okay, so we're going to call that not here, not present. So we'll hear from Ms. Kirk.
Okay. This is a case that was opened on April 26th of 2023, field generated. It's an unsecured vacant structure, has damaged roof, damaged exterior, broken windows, broken fence, overgrowth, dirt, grime, trash, debris. First notification was 4/27 of 2023. I posted the property. Compliance was due June 7th of 2023. I visited the site on July 28th of 2023, and it's still in non-compliance. Just some information. I did speak with the owner, and she explained to me that the property is on the city's assistance list. However, it is, and I did confirm that with housing, Mr. Orrender in housing. The property is in the process of being demolished. There is a permit that is under, a demo permit that is under review, and it's a city. City's going to demolish the property. Owner has been placed in temporary housing at this time. So with that being said, we would like to ask to amend the property till the October cutoff.
So there is something being done. It's not, but none of these violations have been addressed.
Nothing, right, nothing.
And the property's not secure.
No, it isn't. It isn't secure.
And on anticipated demolition, it would, looking at the list of violations, it would remedy all of the violations.
Excuse
I
me?
said the anticipated demolition would remedy all of the violations. So once the demolition is completed, if that is ultimately what occurs, then we'll be able to come back and call the property compliant.
So a demo permit has been pulled.
Yes, it has been, it's under review at the time.
So it won't close with the trash and debris on the property. So it will.
Right, it will all go away.
Yes, went on the close of the permit.
When was the demo permit pulled?
I didn't write the exact date, I can tell you, but I can tell you that it was very recent. I will pull it up. If
Okay,
you'd
that's
like.
all right.
Okay.
Recent, like within the last month?
Right, yeah, it was very recent.
Do we know, who is going to pay for the demolition?
The city? I believe the city is.
Is that what happens when the city determines that it needs to be demolished?
Well, it'll attach against the property, against the land.
Okay. Okay, yeah, okay.
Move to amend to the next cutoff.
All right, Mr. Harrington has made a motion to find respondent in
Non-compliance,
non-compliance
move to the next cutoff.
and move to the next cutoff date, which is 9/6/2023. Is there a second?
I'll second it.
All right, Mr. Mahagan seconds. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, same sign. Motion carries. Okay. Case number 17. CEB 08-23-107, Lenora Land Trust. What does dated 11/15/2012 mean?
That's generally the way that a land trust is designated. So
A
that would be the,
A land trust, okay.
yeah, likely that's the proper
Okay,
designation.
okay. Any respondents? Okay. Mr. Butler?
As pertains to 818 Lenore Street, this is a field-generated case. I conducted a site inspection on February the 7th, 2023, where it was determined the property had the following violations: outdoor storage and parking issues. A first notice was received on February the 9th, 2023. On March the 9th, 2023, the violation was to be in compliance. Last date of my reinspection was July 27th, 2023. The result of my reinspection was non-compliance. I've had no contact with the property owner. Staff requests non-compliance, compliance, next cutoff.
Okay.
And Madam Chair, just so the complete answer to your question before I'm looking at the warranty deed, and that is the way it appears, it's the grantee of the warranty deed.
Okay.
Non-compliance, move to the next cutoff.
All right, Mr. Harrington has made a motion to find respondent in non-compliance and order the respondent to come into compliance by the next cutoff date, which is 9/6/2023. Is there a second?
Second.
Second, Ms. Marsh. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Like sign opposed. Motion carries. Case number 18, CEB 08-23-108, DeHaven Carter and Hester Carter. Good morning. State your name and address for the record, please.
Yeah, if you did that.
Okay. Be sworn in.
Do you solemnly swear or affirm that the testimony you're about to provide is the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
Yes, ma'am.
Thank you.
Okay. Who is Hester Carter?
She's my wife. She's passed on.
Oh, that's okay. Okay. All right, Mr. Butler.
As pertains to 332 North Carolina Street, this is a field-generated case. I conducted a site inspection on April 26, 2023, where it was determined the property had the following violations: landscaping issues, junk vehicles, dilapidated fencing, and parking. A first notice was received on May 4th, 2023. On June the 4th, 2023, the violation was to be in compliance. Last date of my reinspection was July 27th, 2023. The result of my reinspection was non-compliance. I've had no contact with the property owner, but I did speak with some of the, one of the people that are actually living there, and staff request non-compliance, compliance next cutoff.
Well, I needed a little bit more time. I have been compliant.
You what?
I have been doing work around the property.
Okay, but when you do work, if you want the code enforcement department to they're the ones that put you into compliance. You may think you've done the work, but they actually need to come out and see it.
Mhm.
And in fact, what date was it?
July 27th.
Maybe you did do work since July, but in July, Mr. Butler said he went out there and you still weren't in compliance.
Right. But I have photographs now,
You have what?
photographs that I have did something.
Okay, well, you need to stay in touch with Mr. Butler, so that if you can get this, into compliance, and he's the one that put you into compliance, we don't do that, then you wouldn't have to come back here.
So you haven't seen any of that? That's the tree being trimmed back away from the roof.
Okay,
I'll visit
you
the
two
property.
can have this conversation, he'll give you his card, you call him, and when you're ready and you think you're in compliance, you call him and ask to come into compliance, and maybe you won't have to come back here, because if you've done what you need to do, you'll be in compliance.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, good. Chair will entertain a motion to find the respondent in non-compliance or respondent come into compliance by the next cutoff date, September 6, 2023, or be returned to the board for consideration or fine of up to $1,000 per day. Such a motion?
So moved.
Motion, Ms. Marsh, second.
I'll second.
Second, Mr. Hagan. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Like sign opposed. Motion carries. So just call him.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, stay in touch with him. All right, case number 19, CEB 08-23-111, Rienzer and Darlene McCoy, TE. Good morning.
Yep.
I'm sorry, what does TE mean? What, do we know it?
It don't matter. It's just,
Tenancy in the entirety, but.
Tenants in the entirety? Okay, I'm just,
Yeah, they don't normally designate.
I know.
I'm not sure.
Okay.
It's probably in full on.
Unqualified.
That's what we have.
You want a coin to flip?
Number 19.
The only reason I ask these questions is so in case it has any bearing on who's speaking for someone, or how the property's held, or whether more people are involved, or,
Madam Chair, it appears that's just the way they chose to designate this one because of it being a special warranty deed as a corporate seller. So they designated, it is a husband and wife, and normally that would be a tenancy of the entirety. And so it's best appearance looking at the deed, the special warranty deed, is that's the intent, to show that it's a tenancy in the entirety.
Okay. All right. So, Mr. and Mrs. McCoy, please state your name and address for the record and be sworn in.
Reese McCoy, 320 North Carolina Street.
Darlene McCoy, 320 North Caroline Street, Daytona Beach, 32114.
Will you raise your right hand, please? Do you solemnly swear or affirm that the testimony you're about to provide is the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
Yep.
Yes.
Thank you.
All right, we'll hear from Mr. Butler, and then if you feel like you need to talk, we'll give you that opportunity. Go ahead, Mr. Butler.
As it pertains to 320 North Carolina Street, this is a field-generated case. I conducted a site inspection on April the 26th, 2023, where it was determined the property had the following violations: landscaping issues and dilapidated fencing. A first notice was received on April 29th, 2023. On May 29th, 2023, the violation was to be in compliance. Last date of reinspection was July 26th, 2023. The result of my reinspection was non-compliance. I had no contact with the property owner. However, their neighbor did inform me of some of the things that you had in place to correct the violations. Staff requests non-compliance, compliance next cutoff.
Okay. Do they need a permit for the fence?
If they replace the fencing with new fencing, yes.
And the landscaping is just meaning,
Just the overgrowth.
okay. All right, well, what would you like to tell us? You working on this?
Well, we've,
Do you live there?
Huh?
Do you
Yeah,
live
we
there?
live there. It doesn't look the same. This picture right here is a whole bunch of stuff we like that. You just took a picture behind a little bush. This right here is a picture behind a bush that we like to have on our property. The fencing, we've done that, so if you wanna,
Yeah, it's really up to Mr. Butler to look at, not,
I mean, but you complain about stuff and we don't know what you, basically is your opinion, you don't like something.
No, it's pretty much determined by, it's not that they don't like it. Well, I can let them speak for themselves. I suppose the code department.
Like that tree right there, we like that tree in front of our house. So we can hide our packages from Amazon and
Yeah.
stuff. What, you want us to take that tree down?
No, sir.
Okay.
Those
What's
are
wrong
probably
with that
things,
tree?
yeah, I probably can help a little. Those are
Okay.
probably things y'all can address. I don't know if y'all had the opportunity to address them on site, where you meet with him.
No, I haven't
contact him.
seen him.
Okay, well, it starts with him, we send you paper, you get in contact with him, and then y'all make some arrangement to get together. So have an opportunity to let him come on site and tell you exactly what he wants, what he feels is necessary. If you want to dispute that, you can, but make sure y'all are both talking the same language right now.
So he gets to determine what we do with our property?
Well, he gets to decide whether or not you're in compliance with the code, and you can come and make those arguments before the the code board.
Now, I put up new sections of the fence. I was told that as long as we're repairing the old fence, we don't need a permit, right?
Now, all those things I'm not able to sit down and try and work out with you at this moment. I don't have enough information or facts, and that's why you get with your inspector, and you can get all that worked
You
out.
really need to speak to the inspector outside of this meeting, meet with him, make an appointment and have him come over and show him what you've done and what you'd like to keep as landscaping and what he is talking about as far as landscaping. We don't get to make that determination. We only decide from the pictures, and we can see the fencing is not, is dilapidated, but we don't have
I
any.
repaired that fence.
I know you did, but we don't have confirmations from,
Pictures.
that's.
Madam
he
Chair.
has to come see it.
Madam Chair, Code Officer Butler will do the reinspection.
Right.
Once they set up an appointment.
Yes.
Right, that's all you need to do, is set up an inspection.
Can you call me after the court proceedings? Just give me a call today and I'll make the arrangements with you. We all about compliance.
What time,
No,
time
we're
frame?
not gonna
Give me
do
a
this
call.
here. We have one more case to get through. You need to call Mr. Butler or wait until this meeting's, it's only gonna be one more case, but it's his case. And if you wait for him outside or wherever you'd like to wait, you can make arrangements for him to come to your property.
I think that should be done before we come to court, but, hey, what y'all say?
All right, okay,
All right, let's do it. It's over?
okay. Let me just explain something to you, that we don't, nor does the code department, nor does the code board do things because we think we should do them. We do things because that's what we're governed, there are certain codes that we're governed by in the city. That's it. We don't, whether we like them or not, doesn't matter. We have to do, and so do they, what is required by the code in the city. So nobody's saying, because I don't like it, I don't agree with all the codes either. But because I don't like it, doesn't mean I get to ignore it. That's all I'm saying. Okay, Chair, so, Mr. Butler's perfectly happy to meet with you guys at your property, and, just so you can get a better understanding of what's going on. Chair will entertain a motion to find respondent in non-compliance or respondent come into compliance by the next cutoff date, which is September 6, 2023, be returned to the board for consideration and fine of up to $1,000 per day. Such a motion?
So moved.
Motion, Ms. Marsh, second.
Second.
Second, Mr. Hagan. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Like sign opposed. Motion carries. So get with him. You can wait out, you can wait here, you can wait outside. We have one more case to do. Which is case number 20. This is CEB 08-23-113, Lois Jean Clark. Good morning.
Good morning.
Good morning. State your name and whoever's going to testify, state your name and address for the record. So we'll start with you.
My name is Lois Clark. My address is 322 North Carolina Street, Daytona Beach, Florida.
Okay.
My name is Alvin Bill. Address 847 Orange Avenue, Daytona Beach.
That was Allendale.
Alvin, A-L-V-I-N.
Are you going to testify, sir? No. Okay. Just, that's fine. No problem.
Will you both raise your right hand? Do you solemnly swear or affirm the testimony about the provide is the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
I do.
Okay, Mr. Butler, what can you tell us? And then we'll give you a chance to talk, okay?
As it pertains to 322 North Caroline Street, this is a field-generated case. I conducted a site inspection on April 26, 2023, where it was determined the property had the following violations: outdoor storage, parking, landscaping, dilapidated roof, and dilapidated fencing. A first notice received on April 29, 2023. On May 29, 2023, the violation was to be in compliance. Last date of reinspection was July 31st, 2023. Result of my reinspection was non-compliance. I've had contact with the property owner. Staff requests non-compliance, compliance next cutoff.
What would you like to tell us?
She got all that stuff cleared out. Everything. The only thing about it is the roof just left. She got the city for to fix the roof for in the future. She filed for
Can you speak into the microphone?
Speak in the mic.
the city for to help with her roof in the future. She applied for the help April 20th of 2020. Then the COVID came on, so they took off the list. The list went down. So she's still on the list for the roofing and everything.
Okay. What list is it?
It's for roofing and remodeling.
From where?
From the city. I got William Orenda. I got his card. He told me to tell you to call him.
From the city?
Yeah, from the city. Yeah.
Okay. I mean, it's obviously going to take more time than, so everything else is done except the roof?
Everything else is done. Everything else is done.
Okay.
No parking in the front. All the trash is gone and everything, and the fence, they cleaned the fence up and everything.
Okay. All right. Ms. Clark, do you want to say anything, or is this fine?
It's fine.
Okay. Okay, so Mr. Butler can come out and can put the parking and the landscaping and the storage into compliance, okay? Call him and ask him to come to your property so he can see it.
Okay then.
Go ahead, sir.
Well, just to share with you, I've been in constant contact with the property owner here. The property is in pretty bad shape, but they have been conducting a lot of work out there. As they stated, the major issue now is the roofing. I just received a card that he had, and I'm going to contact the city worker just to see where we are with that process.
Frankly, if it looks like September 6th is not a date. I mean, it's not, I just don't see the roof being fixed by September 6th. So we couldn't put the property into compliance then. So do we want, what do we want to do about that?
We would suggest, Madam Chair, because there hadn't been an inspection, and what you would want to ensure is that the other matters are resolved as far as external conditions. So we would still ask to come back next cutoff, and
yes,
and they need to continue to work on the cleanup, the outside storage issues. Is that what I'm hearing from you? That's
when I was there on last week, 99% of all that outdoor storage was removed. There was a couple things up front I asked them to take care of, so I hadn't been there since then, so I'll be making another visit. I'll talk to them after this and direct them in the path that we need. But next cutoff, as council stated,
so we can get some confirmations and be able to, before we start extending it, know what the status of where they are on the list and those things that we talked about.
All right, so we're going to ask you to come back next month.
Next month.
And some of these things may be in compliance, and even at that time, we could extend the amount of time you needed once we need city confirmation about the roof and how long that might take. So we would give you that time to get that done. So we're going to find you in noncompliance today and ask that you come back, I think, we'll have to vote on it, and ask that you come back next month to see where we are, almost like a time frame thing, because evidently there's been 99% of the work done is almost all done to me, right? So you have very little to do, and if Mr. Butler goes out there and sees that it's all done, he can put those other things into compliance for you, and then we'll just have to deal with the roof.
Okay, okay then.
Okay. Chair will entertain a motion to find respondent in noncompliance. Any comments from the board before we do that? Okay. Chair will entertain a motion to find respondent in noncompliance and or respondent to come into compliance by the next cutoff date or be returned to the board for consideration and fine of up to $1,000 a day.
So moved.
Motion, Mr. Harrington, second.
Second.
Second, Ms. Marsh. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Like sign opposed. Motion carries. You just stay in, like you've been doing, you stay in touch.
Okay,
Okay?
all right.
And we'll figure this out next time, okay?
Okay, thank you then.
All right. Any other business?
No, that was the folks. from-
Motion to adjourn. Do I have a second?
Second.
Second,
Second.
third, fourth.